You all up? Good evening and welcome to the November 20th, 2017 public hearing. And we today are graced with Chief Zaludik, who will introduce the topic of this public hearing.
Okay. Good evening, Mayor and Council. Today's the ordinance concerning fireworks restrictions and amending sections 4.934 and 4.996 of the Eugene Code. We started in October of this year, and we had a work session, and we had discussions about the impacts of limiting fireworks, and that progressed to a potential ordinance, and that ordinance had been modified through another work session, and we're here tonight to have a hearing on that proposed ordinance.
Okay, and we have, looks like about 6 people to speak. So I'm opening this public hearing. Those wishing to speak during the public hearing must submit a completed request to speak form to the information desk prior to the beginning of the public hearing. When you come to the podium, please give your name, city of residence, and for Eugene residents, your ward if known. You will have 3 minutes to comment. There are lights on the timer. The red light indicates the end of 3 minutes. So our first speaker is Jim Antonini, followed by Shelley Correll.
Mayor, Council, thank you for having this forum for discussion. My personal position is that I favor the strongest possible limits to fireworks in the general population, neighborhoods, and you know, you could have designated areas, and I favor something like that so that those people that enjoy that can carry on. But to my own opinion is that this has gotten to such a point of almost shocking violence when you're in your neighborhood and you get explosions that are unpredictable. You have no idea they're going to come, and I presume that they're already. That's not a legal activity.
Correct.
So the enforcement piece, I don't know how you deal with that. Maybe there's, neighborhood communities and things that could have an impact on enforcement, but I worry about, you know, the shock of what happens when those things go off, the fire threat. The chief's here, you know, in the dry times of the year. I love celebration, but I think there's a place for that. Maybe if you could designate a place that would still give everybody the opportunity to enjoy what they enjoy. But I really hope that we get this to a point where you don't have to be, you know, actually scared when you hear these explosions. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Shelley Correll, followed by Gary Quimby.
Hi, my name's Shelley Correll, and I reside between Cottage Grove and Eugene. I don't know I've barely been here about a year, so I'm not familiar with everything. Those that he was speaking on are illegal fireworks. When I was in California with our church, we sold a lot of fireworks, and I did it for 15 years, and my dog's petrified of the illegal ones as well. But the legal ones, I don't see how banning it for those few days, especially how much it rains here, that if you put it you can only light them off for 2 days and it rains those 2 days, how can you light off your fireworks that you've bought? You know, I don't really think it's fair to the community that likes to do it with their kids or grandkids or family members, you know, for that week, that celebration, you know, that our freedom and everything, and it's a celebration for those things, that it should, you know, we'd be penalized for legal fireworks. I could see coming down harder on the illegal ones and have more patrols out for illegal fireworks, because that is the issue. Illegal ones, not the legal, safe, and sane ones, because those don't blow up. Those don't go over a certain feet. There are certain, you know, limitations for them to be legal, and those have no problem. It's with the illegal fireworks that have the allowed ones that people buy in Washington and bring them down. So if they can bring a ban on those and come down harder on those, then that would be more of my issue, and it is. Like I said, dogs don't like them, but the ones that are legal, they're not that loud. They have limits. And I mean, if everybody with TNT or with the other churches that sell them as fundraisers to help children and help youth events, and that goes to, support the community. And, without those funds coming in for those community services, then it's going to cut back on a lot of, things for kids and youth and stuff like that they help support. So, I mean, there's more than just the noise to take into consideration. They are helping communities, because a lot of the ones that do the fundraisers are churches, are the Elks Club, are different clubs for community things. So that is my opinion. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you. Next up is Gary Quimby, followed by Aaron Taylor.
I'm Gary Quimby, and I live in Cottage Grove now. Did reside in Eugene, but I wanted to just be here in support of being able to sell fireworks and display the fireworks and everything else for our kids, and we all grew up just as you guys did too, being able to do the fireworks and celebrate with the kids and teach them the value of our independence and everything else. And it's just like firearms and everything else. If you teach them in a safe, sane manner, that's what they'll learn and that's what they'll practice. Now, just like Shelley was saying, that the problem is the illegal fireworks, and we're all for helping clamp down on those and be a part of weeding those out. But one of the things that I want to stress that is if we keep pushing the legal fireworks and stuff outside of the city limits and everything else, the people are going to do the fireworks anyway. They're going to go to Springfield and outlying areas and buy them, and they're going to go shoot them off, and we're going to push them out into the county and everything else where all the dry grass and dry timber and brush and stuff is, and then we're going to have a whole lot bigger problem on our hands than we do shooting them off in the city. As far as loud noise and everything else, who cares? It's a celebration of our independence, Let's do it and be proud of that, and it'll last a few days, and we're done with it. And so besides that, all the youth groups and everything, like she was saying, that use that to raise funds for their groups and stuff, and if we don't help them and be a part of that, then how many of these youth groups and stuff are gonna be shut down and everything else, and then these kids are back out on the streets with nothing to do, no place to go and everything else. So I'd just like you to reconsider.
Thank you. Next up is Aaron Taylor, followed by Stefan Struck.
We were here 2 years ago, and it was a week into our sales season, and we spend a tremendous amount of time helping in this community, feeding the homeless. I just this week had one testimony after another of people living in their cars who now are, have homes, people that 3 years ago didn't have a place to live, and now they're actually homeowners. Not only my church and our organizations, but we help the schools. This just goes on and on. You guys made your decision 1 week into the season and almost devastated our ministry. And when I begged you to listen, you just didn't care. I hope you'll care and not be so concerned over 70 complaints, but listen to the thousands, 100,000 people who buy fireworks in this area. Prohibition doesn't work with marijuana. You're all for legalizing that. People are dying on our streets with alcohol, and we try to fix the problem. We don't make it all illegal because we tried that. Prohibition doesn't work. We're gonna turn our young people and our citizens they're the only ones going to be penalized is the law-abiding citizens trying to follow your edicts, and their friends and the kids at school that are going to be buying the illegals. As it is right now, you're giving an option that's safe and sane. It's not loud. You say, well, kids make bombs out of them. That's a problem. And let me just tell you, from direct knowledge and working with kids that have made bombs, working with kids that have shot up schools, working with those that have killed themselves, and all those things. It is not the legal fireworks that are the problem. Your forest fires aren't caused by legal fireworks. Look at the facts. One smoke ball, a smoke ball that is legal right now to be sold. You can't change that. It's legal in all of Oregon. It's non-regulated. That's what caused the fire. But we want to quote things that are not even a reality. The illegal fireworks are our problem. When we shove these people, South Eugene, I have a church in South Eugene. I care about the people in South Eugene. I have a church in West Eugene. I care about the church in West Eugene. I have a church in Springfield. I care about them. I'll tell you this, the danger to my church in South Eugene is that the property lines or the city boundary is wooded. But when they start a fire, because we shove lots of people out, they're going to start a fire and it's going to burn right into town.
Thank you. Thank you. Stefan Streck, followed by Jason Trout.
Righto, good day. So I was going to talk about housing the homeless and helping assistance to orphans and foster children, but fireworks are also very important, so we'll go with that. My name is Stefan Streck. I live in South Eugene, and like to think I represent those people, whether they like it or not. You all may know me from the mayor's campaign of 2016 as winner of the popular vote, my voters tell me. Going on from that, this year I'm on the ballot for U.S. Congress, so we'll be going up against DeFazio in that general election. And anywho, less about me, more about the fireworks. So first time I ever came down here, funny coincidence, it was summer after I'd gotten back from France, and when I was in France I got invited down to the U.S. Embassy by the consulate, me and some girls I was with, to go to the U.S. Embassy's 4th of July party. So I missed the 4th of July here, but, you know, they were kind enough to celebrate it in France. They had Tennessee bourbon and chicken wings for the Americans, so we were taken care of. And coming back here the summer afterwards, we almost had some, I remember we did have some issues over fireworks here in town, and we partitioned up where they could be in the city, all that stuff. Anyway, so I came down here because I was offended, because, you know, they celebrate in other countries like France with fireworks, so why can't we celebrate here in America? You know, are we going to let the French have more patriotism than we've got? That's not right. And, you know, I've been thinking these past few while now, because it's been a while since I've been down here. I'm sure you've all enjoyed my absence as much as I have. And, yeah, so I've been thinking for a while now that, you know, with President Trump in office, there's no way that the local city council rascals would try and take on fireworks and patriotism, but look what we've got here. You know, just lo and behold, just coincidentally, just subject of the day. So fireworks are key and integral to American culture and patriotism, which is unique in the world. And, you know, attacks on fireworks is the sort of thing that has fueled the resurgence of patriotism that's led to Donald Trump being president. And so we've got this upcoming Thanksgiving where everyone's going to gather around their table and say a prayer for Donald Trump, I'm sure. And then we're looking forward to the holidays and the new year. And everyone always looks forward to summertime and having fireworks and the smell of gunpowder from all those colors and all that stuff. This last year I went up to Spencer's Butte and watched all the locations. You can see out to Cottage Grove. It's great. So long story short, let us keep the fireworks and let everyone have a good time. I hope everyone has a happy holidays, and God bless us all. Thank you.
Thank you. And our final speaker is Jason Trout.
Good evening. You know, what was interesting, I was trying to figure out what I was going to come up and say to you guys tonight. One of the things that really struck me when we wrote with this, or this ordinance was written, was how we could comply as a fireworks company. I'm the regional manager for TNT Fireworks. we have 85% of the retail permits that you guys issue every summer. And, I started reading the language in the ordinance. Just typically we like to try to comply with the laws, even if it doesn't affect us. And in this instance, it doesn't. We're still going to continue to sell the fireworks that are approved by the state. I want everyone to understand that the way the ordinance is written will make a ban on all fireworks because we have no way of complying. Regardless of what company we're in, from a federal standpoint, we have no way of measuring noise from anywhere. So I do want to say that. The other thing that I think got lost in this whole thing is what the danger is. And the danger is fire. And aerial fireworks cause fires. They're louder, they go higher, so they're not contained on the ground like the fireworks that are legal to sell in Oregon. So I do want to at least try to open your eyes that fire is our biggest danger here, and the aerial fireworks are what are causing those fires. We've tried to provide an application called Nail 'em. TNT has written the application. We've done all the research on it. I've spoke with the chief about it. I think he's pretty excited about it. But it's a way to measure the enforcement of illegal fireworks. And we believe that if we can all get together, maybe it's a task force. I'm not sure what the best way to go about it is. But put all of our resources towards eliminating the illegal fireworks in Eugene. I just feel like that's something actionable, it's something measurable, and it's something that's enforceable. And currently, the way that the ordinance that's proposed is being written, it's not really enforceable, and it's very, very difficult for the suppliers that are actually selling the fireworks out there to be able to comply with, and the retailers that are out on the street, the nonprofit groups that are selling the product, for them to comply with. And to be honest, it's going to be confusing to the public that's out there purchasing the product. They're not going to know what to be able to purchase. They're not going to know where they can shoot. They're not going to know anything. And, to prevent the public from celebrating the United States birthday, by limiting them from items that are frankly very safe and not as loud. It just seems like it would behoove the council to go after a larger problem rather than trying to enforce a smaller problem that frankly is unenforceable. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Thank you all for testifying. I have Councillor Clark in the queue. Anybody else wanting to make comments? All right, Councillor Clark. Councillor Sarah.
Thank you, Mayor. City Attorney, I had somebody else send me this point that he just brought up. As these are state regulated, excuse me, we issue local permits for the sales, but as these are state regulated, do we have the capacity to stop the sales of a particular type of currently statewide legal fireworks?
The proposed ordinance that you have in front of you doesn't address sales.
Not what I'm asking. I agree with you on that. I'm asking, do we have the capacity to ban the sales of Whistling Pete's?
I have not looked at that. I'll have to get back to you. That wasn't the request of council, so that wasn't something I looked at. I'm happy to provide that information to you.
Thank you very much. So these Whistling Pete's are still going to be sold in town. Mm-hmm. Does anybody at this table believe that thousands of them aren't going to be bought by residents of Eugene? Because I'm pretty sure they will be. And because we can't regulate and enforce the flagrant violation of stuff that's really illegal, I have no certainty that we're going to be able to enforce Whistling Pete's being let off in neighborhoods. It is my opinion that this particular ordinance is ridiculous beyond measure, and that it does absolutely nothing to address the serious problem of stuff that blows up and scares people and stuff that flies through the air and lights things on fire. And that we would really be doing the community a favor by focusing on those problems. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Syret.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone who came to testify. Definitely very important to hear various perspectives on this issue. I do want to particularly appreciate Mr. Trout's comments. Those were informative and educational and very helpful. Absolutely, this is a very tricky issue when it comes to enforcement. And there's no perfect solution, but I also appreciate Mr. Trout's offer to help us strategize on ways to address the issues that are of concern. And then just as a general comment to some of the testimony, I will say the reason we are trying to adjust this is because many residents of this community actually dread the approach of the 4th of July and make plans to escape the smell of gunpowder in their streets and the other negative impacts of fireworks being used indiscriminately around their homes, for almost 2 weeks a summer, in some cases all summer, depending on what part of town you live in.
Councilor Semple.
Thank you. One of the ideas I had in this ordinance, regardless of whether we went to quiet or fireworks, is that if we limit it to only 2 days, it will be much easier to get to the illegal ones, because any fireworks that aren't on the 3rd or 4th are illegal. We have been getting emails from the sellers. It isn't something that we addressed before. We just talked about the noise. And it's not that I'm unsympathetic to that, but I think going to 2 days is really important, both for the fire, for the ability to actually find the illegal ones, because any noise that's not the 3rd or the 4th is illegal. And I love fireworks. I don't like the Whistling Pete things, but I love fireworks. I like to do them every day. But I have to be considerate of the people who have real serious trauma, PTSD about these things. We have to take care of everyone. So I think that it's a compromise to bring it down to 2 days. I would hope we could get, I don't know what the solution, creative, but I don't want you to think I don't care about the sellers and the nonprofits and the good things that the sale of fireworks do bring to our community. But we have people who are terrorized by this noise, and the ones that are legal, I hear them. They do make a lot of noise, and my dog is terrified. And there are not very many illegal ones down by my house. So I'm really glad you all came out and gave us your opinions, and nothing's getting decided tonight. So thank you.
Councilor Taylor.
Thank you. I think everyone knows I prefer a complete ban on fireworks except for supervised displays by organizations. I think that's and as for saying that if we can't enforce it, we don't have a law, we have lots of laws that are difficult to enforce. That is not a reason for not having a law. As for the groups that make money with selling them, I don't think you have a right to make money for whatever good cause that hurts and endangers other people. And fireworks, even if it were just the fire danger, they all have fire. And we have seen examples of fires that are totally out of control, and we have places here where it could happen anytime. It does not rain in the summer usually. If we had rain all the time, we could just say, let the rain come. But I think that it's just a violation of people's rights to peace, people and animals. But probably the biggest thing of all, the most far-reaching danger is fire. And we have had some examples of that. I hope we don't have to wait until we have a whole section of town burned before we realize how dangerous it is. I realize that we're not going to ban them all probably, but I just wonder people who say it's a way to make money. If you could make a lot of money selling heroin, would you do that? You probably could if it was legal. And it's dangerous in a different way. Thank you.
Councilor Pryor.
Thank you. For me, this has always been an issue of enforcement. And this effort that we're trying to do, we're trying to craft some sort of a middle ground, knowing that we don't have a lot of enforcement capability. And so the question I have, and it's a question we've asked before, and I don't know whether we have gotten any more information, but I have heard that those communities that have banned all fireworks have experienced a decrease in illegal fireworks, and I don't know if that is indeed the case or not. And has anybody gotten any information on that? So other than just anecdotally, we don't know if that actually works. Because that's one of the arguments I've heard. Well, just ban fireworks and you'll automatically have a decrease in illegal fireworks, and I don't know if that really makes a lot of sense. For me, the fire danger issue is something of a MacGuffin, I think. And, you know, we use it kind of as that thing we're questing for, but it's not the central issue. To me, it's noise. It always comes down to noise. When people come up here to the podium and talk, they're talking about noise. Their dogs, their veterans, or this or that, and I am sensitive to that. I would like to come up with a solution that did not create noise problems for people, and I think that's what we're trying to incorporate in here. Is there some way we can deal with the noise issue? And even if we were to pass this and say you can't have a firework that makes a noise beyond 50 feet, and Mr. Trout's comment about, well, who measures that and how do we know if that's the case or not? I don't know the degree to which that would actually have an effect on a scofflaw who still wants to fire off an illegal fireworks. Knowing that a Piccolo Pete is illegal, okay, that's great. I've got a bottle rocket and I'm still bound and determined to shoot it off. So whether we pass this or not, I still come back to the notion of enforcement. We've got to have a way to stop illegal fireworks, which are the principal noisemakers. Those are the ones that when I hear fireworks and they disturb my effort to try to be at home, even with the windows closed, it's the illegal ones that come through my window. It's the illegal ones that really make noise. This, I'm not sure, would have that much of an effect on illegal fireworks, because I've referred before to butthead behavior, and if somebody's going to conduct butthead behavior, they're going to do it whether Piccolo Petes are illegal or not. So I'm in a quandary. I like the notion of what we're trying to achieve here, to help people not suffer in their homes. That's the real quest here. I don't want to suffer in my home. I don't want anybody else here to suffer in their home. I don't want dogs or veterans or anyone else to suffer in their home. But without some sort of an aggressive, effective, maybe it's a catch 'em app, you know, which Councilor Clark's talked about for a long time. I don't know if this is going to have the desired effect or whether it's just going to be chasing after a MacGuffin.
Okay, any other councilors wanting to weigh in? All right, thank you all very much. Thank you for taking the time to share your thoughts at this public hearing. It's helpful. It's not a simple set of decisions to make, and we are trying to find some middle ground. So appreciate it. And with that, do you have a comment?
What I might just say is this would not come back to you until after the new year.
Right.
So there's no planned action prior to your break.
Perfect. Thank you for that.
You'll want to close the public hearing.
I do. Yes. So I'm now closing the public hearing. Thank you all very much. And we are now, council is going to go into executive session. That will be held pursuant to ORS 192.6602E and ORS 192.6602H to discuss the negotiation of a real property transaction and to consult with legal counsel regarding current litigation or litigation likely to be filed. Representatives of the news media and designated staff shall be allowed to attend the executive session. All other members of the audience are asked to leave the room. Representatives of the news media are specifically directed not to report on any of the deliberations during the executive session, except to state the general subject of the session as previously announced. No decision may be made in executive session. At the end of the executive session, we may return to open session and welcome the audience back into the room. So we'll just wait until it clears here.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you all.
Aren't those the same things they can see through in the daytime? You can't see through them at night anyway. It's just dark out there. I think they're
Okay, manager?